Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order now of the Accessibility Advisory Committee. Let me just sort of get organized here. The TNRD acknowledges that we connect with many First Nation communities across our vast regional district. And today we are located on the Tecumseh territory, situated within the unceded ancestral lands of the Secwepemc Nation. The TNRD appreciates the partnership we have with Kamloops to Secwepemc and respect the territory and the land on which we gather today for this meeting. Any additions or deletions from the menu? I'm still on vacation mode from the agenda. Nothing? Okay, let's start with, Vern, were you going to add something?
Sorry, did you ask for any errors or admissions or?
Well, we don't have that on the agenda, but if there's an error, you should tell Colton immediately. And
or additions?
Okay, go for it.
As vice president of the Kamloops White King Club, our bowling event challenge with city councilors and other sighted people are certainly invited to attend the bowling event from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Come out and have fun and dust off your bowling shoes and test your bowling skills. Thank you.
Oh, turned off. Okay. All right. Then we'll start with introductions. And Naomi, I'm Dale. And let's do the people online next, and then we'll go to Jill.
Do you want me to start, Dale?
Sure.
Hi, I'm Nan Stevens. I identify as a mother of a neurodivergent young man that brought me into the world of accessibility. I'm a retired prof from TRU with a specialty in inclusive education.
Kelly.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, Naomi. My name is Kelly McDonald, and I work with Interior Health, and I work on a team called Healthy Community Development. And my job is to work with external partners to create communities where people can live to their fullest. My job is around health promotion and protection and prevention, which means my work is to keep people healthy. It's nice to see all of you and nice to meet you, Naomi. Thank you.
Go ahead, Jill.
My name is Jill Hayward. I'm the TNRD director for Area O, which is Lower North Thompson. And I've been on this committee since the beginning, love it. And I think we're doing good work. So thank you, everybody who participates.
I'm Chantel Martin, and like Nan, I also have a little boy with a rare syndrome. And I'm also an education assistant for SD73.
Justine Richmond with New Horizons. I work with adults with diverse abilities.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Vern Short. I'm the vice president of the Kamloops White King Club. Our members are either blind or visually impaired or with severe low vision. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cindy Jackson. I'm retired and it's wonderful. And I've been with this committee from the beginning and I have spinal muscular atrophy. So I ended up in a wheelchair at 2019. So showing a perspective of going from being able to walk, et cetera, to being in a wheelchair.
Thank you very much. So we'll move on to 4.1, the minutes. Any issue with the minutes? Nope. Okie doke. Colton, do you want a motion? I can't remember how you guys do it. Do you want a motion to accept the minutes? Someone move to accept the minutes? Jill, seconded by me. Both of us are in favor. Carried. Oh, can they vote as well? Oh, that's different than city too. Okay, let's start that again. All those in favor? Thank you. Thanks for the correction. Any opposed? That is carried. 5.1, new general manager of the library services. Welcome. I'm looking forward to hearing what you're going to do with our library.
Thank you. For those who have not met, I'm Julie Creaser. I'm the General Manager of Library Services. This is the beginning of my 5th month in this role, so I hit the ground running, as they say. Just a little bit about myself, and thank you all for sharing a little bit about yourselves and why you're here. I have over 25 years working in a variety of different library services. Most recently from managing a medical library for Northern Health for 8 years, as well as working in digital health to create access and use of information for patients to manage their own care. So I've come to the TNRL with that passion for libraries that started early on as an outreach librarian, working with our National Network for Equitable Library Service when it first launched and supporting people like those that Vern works with. So this committee really resonates with me. So I'm looking forward to being with you all. I thought I could just provide a little bit of an update about where the library is at. So Colton has just asked me to give a little overview of kind of where our accessibility program is and what we're planning to do in the next few years. And that may be helpful. I know you've had updates in the past. But the province, quite a few of our associations here in BC, including the BC Libraries Co-op, which supports the National Network for Equitable Library Service, as well as the British Columbia Library Association, among others, worked with a consultant to develop an accessibility assessment tool for public libraries in British Columbia. So one of our managers is recently working on a renovation, and she's just been able to pilot the tool for the first time in our Merit branch as they go through to look at physical changes in the facility. It's important to note that the report, like this particularly, doesn't just focus on physical impairments. It does focus on sensory and social emotional impairments as well in the library sphere, and how we can build really inclusive, barrier-free supports inside of our facilities and in our digital services for folks. So on that note, part of our I don't know when the last time you had an update from the library was, but I do know that our outreach team out of the North Kamloops branch is working on a home service modernization. If it's been a while since you've heard about that program, that is where we actually do have staff who prepare and deliver materials to people who are unable to visit the physical library. What they are doing is they are trying to also work with those folks on bringing in like a digital domain. So they've been actually calling and talking with all of their patrons about what kind of services they already use that are digital. Are there ways we can connect them to our digital services? So we do have our standard ones for those who live with visual impairments, such as our like Daisy readers, eBraille, audiobooks on tape. But we're also talking about, we have quite a robust, like our Libby Overdrive. Is there capacity now with people's smartphones, things like that, where they can actually be self-led in using the library? And what can we do to help train, support, and provide access that way? I think the other thing was just piloting this tool. This is new for us. So the thing that I would like to do with this tool is we're actually doing needs assessment work this year for all of our services in the library. As you know, there is an election coming up, and there will be a renewed TNRD strategic plan. And our goal is to actually be prepared and ready to implement aspects of any refreshes to the accessibility plan. So we'd like to survey both our staff and our patrons, do our needs assessments and our engagements, and bring forward accessibility as one of the core goals within that new plan for the library that will carry us through a few years, and looking at everything with that lens. So it's been a goal of the library for quite some time. It's been on our facilities. I believe master plan is something we need to continue working on. And I am excited that I get to kind of start kicking off the next stage of that. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but I think that's my update.
Thanks. That's good. Any questions, anyone? Okay, Vern, go ahead.
Through the chair to Julie, how are the renovations going with the North Shore location?
They just kicked off 10 days ago, so it's a little bit early to tell. But I could bring some information back. I think the next meeting is in the fall. I think we'll have a better sense of where we're at. Is there something you're curious about specifically?
Yes, the blind and visually impaired community, there is a lot of, I know quite a number of patrons that do use the outreach system, and digital readers. Are they digital? They're not
Yeah,
analog.
the digital daisies, I believe they are now digital. Yeah,
Yeah.
they used to be like very button orientated, but now they're quite digital.
Is that service affected at all or not?
That service is not affected. That fell under the update around the home service modernization, where we are actually looking at improving that service and increasing access in different ways for more people. There's about 100 people on the specific delivery service, but anyone can borrow readers, anyone can use the service. So that's what they're looking at, is like an overall improvement process to get more people onto the service.
Right. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Yeah, was that helpful?
Anyone else?
Yes, it was helpful.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Anyone else have any questions, comments? No? Excellent, thanks. That's good. Appreciate that. You're putting a adjustable desk in North Shore as well? I understand?
Yeah, the desks, one of the priorities with all of the refreshes when they're getting new furniture is to look at them with an accessibility lens. So desks that go up and down, desks that can actually be moved to create space for alternate mobility devices and so on. So yes, thanks. That's a great
Good.
question, Del.
Super, thank you. Okay, we're moving on to the next item, which is Colton and the accessibility projects update and grant opportunities. There is a PowerPoint that was sent with your agenda that you can refer to as Colton starts talking.
Okay, we'll just pull that up. Thank you, Chair Bass, and thank you, Julie, as well. We're just going to make sure everyone can see our shared screen online in a sec here. Oh. Maybe I'll just get Nan or Kelly, if you could let me know if you can see the PowerPoint on the screen. Oh, thumbs up. Love it. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Thanks, Naomi. Yep. Okay, so last time in September, I had a PowerPoint presentation for the committee just to talk about ongoing projects we've been working on that tie into goals of this committee and the accessibility plan, and things that are upcoming or in the works. So this is kind of a similar presentation with an update on projects with our TNRD facilities. Just wanted to start with the Chase Library book drop. We talked about this at the September committee, how we were looking at this potentially being a project that could be grant funded with the Spark PC grant available. There was up to $25,000 available to each local government in BC from that grant. And this project's being 100% grant funded by that, which is great. So there's a new book drop in on order for the Chase Library. My understanding is that's expected to be set up in late March. As you can see with the photo of the Chase Library there, you might be able to see, well, you can clearly see there's about 6 steps to the front door. And to the right of the door, there's the return slot. So there's if the frame was wider, there's a ramp on the right side of the building, which is great for patrons to return materials during regular hours. But after hours, someone would have to climb all those stairs to get to the returns bin, which is obviously a bit of a barrier. So the new returns bin will be street level, and there's going to be a new concrete pad poured where that's going. And the bin will obviously go on that and be nice and flat. So there's a bike rack and a pollinator garden outside the building. If you were outside the frame a bit more, that have to be moved for the book drop bin to go in the spot where it's best suited. So there's a lot happening in a small space there. And of course, this will make sure patrons can return materials after hours without having to climb the stairs. And the outdoor returns bin that we've ordered, the bin holds up to 380 books or 950 DVDs, so it's a good size bin. 1.5 feet wide is the opening for the slot to do returns, and it's 2.5 inches high. Watertight, theft deterrent, fire suppressant, all that good stuff. So between the the cost of pouring the slab, the bin itself, which with the return tray was a little more than $8,000, my understanding. And I think that might have even been American, so I'd have to double check that. But all in all, the cost, $16,500 is approximately what we'll use from what we had available in that grant. Chair, I should let you know too that if anyone has any questions as we go along here, because this might take 15 minutes or so, but if folks had questions at any time, we can stop and go through that. So I meant to say that at the start. Just wanted to go through a bit of a small part of the Parks and Trails strategic plan. Last fall, I mentioned that the board had just recently approved that, as Dale and Jill would well know, in July of 2025. So in December, a detailed implementation plan was brought by TNRD staff to the entire board, which outlines projects work that's planned as part of this parks plan over the next 2 years. And there's going to be annual progress reports starting this fall about that detailed implementation plan, is my understanding. So the part that I wanted to zero in on from that, this might be repeat information for Dale and Jill who are on our board, but there was, well, goal 5 is of the Parks and Trails plan, more connected to accessibility. There are 6 goals in total with the parks plan and many recommendations underneath them, but goal 5 is enhance park experiences for all visitors. That drills down on accessibility a bit more. So part of the update that was given to the board in December, phase 1 near term, as in to happen within the next couple of years. And then there was a longer looking, phase of long term for phase 2. So our staff went through all 6 goals with phase 1 and phase 2 for kind of their work plan as a result of the park strategic plan. For the for goal 5 here, that first part should say assess parks and trails for accessibility and include in future projects where feasible. Publish park accessibility information on our website, pretty straightforward stuff. Standardize parks and trails signage, which is actually likely quite a large project, even when you look at our limited park system of about 12 or 15 facilities. And also in the near term, one of the goals set out there would be seeking grant funding for the Green Mile Loop trails, which are located in Blue River, used for hiking, biking, walking in the summer, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing in the winter. So this would be grant funding to potentially look at improvements for that trail, which is pretty well used for a community the size of Blue River. And obviously, if a project like that came to be, we would be in touch with this committee seeking feedback on how to make sure we can make sure whatever project improvement we're making to the Green Mile Loop in Blue River, that accessibility improvements are considered. Longer term, so 2+ years out, a bit more specific capital projects that would require funding and a bit more staff resources for it to be done. So improve the access road to Little Hell's Gate Regional Park. That's located about halfway between Avola and Blue River. Kind of a little hidden gem, but a very rough road to get there off the highway. So you get there, you park, and there's a big viewing platform. That photo on the right in this slide is actually the viewing platform at Little Hell's Gate Regional Park. It's where the Thompson River narrows a little bit, so there's quite a beautiful dramatic waterfall from there. So ensuring improved access for the general public to get to this park, free and great outdoor amenity within the TNRD. That definitely a goal to improve the road there. Upgrades to Agate Bay Boat Launch, which is located on Adams Lake and is a TNRD owned boat launch. Determine what can be done to improve another TNRD boat launch at Ferry Road. That's located in Blackpool, about 2 or 3 minutes off of Highway 5 before you get to Clearwater. And we have a Blue Rivers Trails Master Plan that was adopted in, I believe, early 2021. And carry out some of the objectives in that plan is also part of the continued phase 2 for this parks plan, making sure those tie together.
Hey, Colton, I've got a question. In terms of the signage, I expect that I think I know what the answer is going to be, but have we ever considered building in some sort of audio component for those who have visual issues but still want to enjoy being out on trails.
Yeah, like audio for the specific outdoor components?
Yeah, yeah, you
Or
know.
outdoor signage?
Yeah, at all, something at all. I'm just trying to figure out what we can do in that regard.
That's a good thought. I'd have to check with our parks staff, like our community services staff, to know if we've ever looked into that. It's never been come to me as something that we've looked at as implementing. So as far as I know, no, we haven't looked at that. But could we? We could absolutely look into it, and I'd be curious to see where our community service staff land at. And depending on different factors for outdoors, how feasible is it? We'd have to look into that too. I'm not sure, but one thing that I think about as you talk about that is, we have all our parks information online, and part of our plans here in the short term is looking at how we can make our information, easily accessible online. So can we have vocal components on our website? That's definitely feasible. That's another way we could look into that too, if somebody was looking before they go, for example, or yeah.
Well, just add that to your to-do list.
Yeah.
In some time. Thanks very much.
Question.
Vern?
Thank you. Colton, when speaking about audible signage or audible directions, it wouldn't be just considered for the blind or visually impaired, but also to those individuals that are that respond more to voice activation, that want to be independent rather than reading the directions or the information. Those individuals, I do know, respond better to auditory responses, and that would help you to justify the cause of auditory information as well. The technology also was applied in BC Transit when they announce bus stops. So I don't think it shouldn't be an issue of cost, but maybe being able to acquire it. Thank you.
Thanks, Vern. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Just a quick thought, if you're already doing the auditory online, it wouldn't take a lot to do QR codes that people could just scan and then have a voice back from the website, would it?
Yeah, I don't see anyone else. Anyone else? Nobody's online with a question? Okay,
I
back to you,
have a
Colton.
question, Dale. Sorry to interrupt you.
I don't see your hand, but that's
I
okay.
did have a hand, but I took it down.
Oh, well, leave it up there next time, Kelly.
I did. Thank you. I guess I'll just add to this that under the sort of accessibility for all, having auditory signs also applies to those who, children, people who may have intellectual or developmental disabilities as well. So often when we appeal to those who have specific needs, we actually make it more accessible for all people to use. So just kind of throwing it out there, another plug. Vern, I thought your point was really well taken. It's not just for those with visual impairments. It actually makes the parks more accessible for all people.
Move it up on your to-do list. Thanks, Colton. Anyone else? Okay, go ahead, Colton.
This is great. Thank you, everybody. And I just wanted to highlight a couple things here as well. So we had the Parks and Trails strategic plan and the staff detailed implementation plan that comes with this for, again, their work plan to carry out some of these things in the next 2 years. So I just wanted to highlight a couple interesting things that, just to put a pin in for now for your awareness, that aren't starting yet, but there are a couple destination trails that staff have identified, like locations for where this could be. These could be 5 or 10 years out if there's funding and resources for them, maybe less, maybe more. One of these couple of development trails is on Kamloops Lake. So there's been a trail, a section identified where a trail could run from Kenna Cartwright Park and the soon-to-be Dufferin multiplex there, all the way above Kamloops Lake to Tobiano. I believe it's about 20 or 22 kilometers, which is interesting too, knowing that there could be potential for hosting larger events if a trail like that was ever developed for like marathons or that kind of thing too. So that's something that apparently there has been local support for in the Kamloops area with community groups for looking into developing a trail like that. If it did come to be, that could be a 2-phase project, Kamloops to Tobiano and then Tobiano to Savinaw. I'd imagine phase 2, when you think of the elevation change from Tobiano to Savinaw at 6 Mile Hill, there'd probably be a lot more to consider for the pretty significant elevation changes. Probably a lot less dramatic when you're thinking Kamloops and Dufferin area all the way to Tobiano. So I don't have a lot of info on that yet, but it sounded cool and exciting, and I wanted to make sure you guys heard about it and also flash these development or destination trail projects so that you're aware if these ever do come to fruition. I'm assuming they will at some point, but that we'll make sure the committee is looped in to provide feedback. Number 2, a little further from Kamloops, would connect from Cache Creek to Ashcroft along the Bonaparte River, which is kind of a cool area. It's not a great photo, and I apologize there. You can see there's Boston Flats, which is halfway between Cache Creek and Ashcroft there. So, and then the valley where the Bonaparte River runs is on the left side of this image. Ashcroft is at the very top of that photo, if you look and see the little town there. So pretty interesting trail development opportunity. There's land down by the river in Boston Flats that the TNRD already owns. It was part of purchase because the TNRD built a new Boston Flats Eco Depot right in that area several years ago now. But when the TNRD bought the land, it was all part of the same package. So unfortunately, there's the former Boston Flats Trailer Park that some of you may know burnt down in the Elephant Hill fire in 2017. I believe that area is now vacant, and that's part of the land that could be included for this potential destination trail project there. It's a beautiful valley, and there's also partnerships to work with BC Parks, which has the humongous Elephant Hill Provincial Park kind of straddling the area where this would go. And then Cache Creek, Ashcroft, and several area First Nations would be involved in this planning if that were to happen. Bonaparte Indian Band, the most significant in the area. So phase 1 could be a trail that goes from Cache Creek to Ashcroft or vice versa. And there's also potential for further development in Boston Flats, where that former mobile home park was. It's been identified in the plan as a place where a campground could go, which is interesting too. Just another, hey, that's a better photo. I should have led with that one. You can at least see the river there to get an idea. And Highway 97C towards Ashcroft is on the very right and highlighted on that photo. So pretty dramatic vistas, as anyone would know who spends some time out towards Ashcroft. Our crown jewel park, Smith Pioneer Park. In early September, I had mentioned that a project was imminent there to do a full restoration of the tennis courts. So that was done later in the month, which was great. They were closed for about a week or two, and the courts were fully resurfaced and repainted. There was already pickleball lines there. I think I might have said they were adding pickleball lines in the fall, so I apologize. They were already there, but the surface has been redone. And also at the same time, 3 new benches were also installed at the park. There's a trail that goes around the whole perimeter of the park essentially, and on the, I guess it's the west side of the park, kind of weaves through where the tennis courts are. There's riding stables there too. So the more benches, the better, obviously, for people who need them. So that was all part of a grant-funded project this year. Those two things, just under $42,500 to get all that work done at Smith Pioneer Park. If you folks haven't gone, it's a great facility. There's a band shell. I mentioned a riding stable. There's newer low mobility fitness equipment, picnic shelters, really nice playground, a washroom building, a huge grassy field, and these courts. Oh, there's a couple more photos. Our community services guy went down there on a nice sunny day.
Go ahead, Fern.
Oh,
Go ahead,
Thank
Fern.
you. Colton, it sounds very nice and my concern is on a hot summer day. No, I'm not talking about bat out of hell. But on a hot summer day, is there shaded areas that individuals could use or even a water station?
Through the chair, yeah, the picnic tables have the shelters, so that's a really good space to sit out and not be in the sun in between using some of the amenities there. There's ponderosa pine trees there. You can kind of see some of them in the photo. So some of the benches would have shade depending on the time of the day around the park trail. And then a lot of it's more open besides that. There's also a children's zip line there. I forgot, but I think I might have said that last time too. And then there's the bathrooms there and there is a concession. So there would be the ability to get water too.
Do they have a handicap?
Question was, is there a handicap stall for the bathroom? Actually, I'd have to double check that, Cindy. There should be.
And also
Anyone else with a question?
Mm-hmm.
Out online? Nope. Okay. Let's go, Colton.
Blue River Trail Network. So there was a whole bunch of projects as part of our Blue River Trail master plan. And there was a project to add signage throughout the trail. So this is done and everything's going to be installed as the snow melts, and we're going to have a grand opening in May. So when we meet again in September, I'll have lots of great photos to show you of how those signs look in action. There's also a big 8-foot by 4-foot information kiosk at the start of the trail that our staff made in partnership with Simp First Nation, with just information about the trails and the history of the area. And again, signage to show you where you're going. If you're hiking or walking, there's about 15 kilometers of trails out that way, and there hadn't been any signage before. So it's a big project, and they've lumped in some other improvements too. More garbage cans, new outhouses for there too. So I know we had a grant for $140,000 to do this, missing a zero on that last bullet point. But I don't know what the final cost will be, but it'll be around there. I believe this is 100% grant funded. So we'll keep you posted on that. We'll have a lot of promotion about it because it's the only place we really have a trail network in the TNRD. You know, Kamloops has 100 of them, but the TNRD has our Blue River trails. So we'll have like a video showcasing this, how it looks to hike and bike in the summer. I know we have a staff member who's eager to put that together. So
I have a question. Are the outhouses, do they have an accessible outhouse? Like if you're in a wheelchair, you cannot get in the outhouse if it's only a 2-foot wide door.
through the chair to Jill, I'll double check on that. It's crossed my mind. But I should have checked with our community services staff to make sure before we came and sat down here. But I'll follow up. And we'll let you know when this comes back. Hopefully I have a good answer when we come back in September.
Madam Chair,
Sure, go ahead, Vern.
when you say accessibility to the washroom, are the doors, are they spring loaded, or what is the makeup of the door or entrance to the washroom?
Through the chair to Vern, I haven't seen them myself. I suspect if they're like any typical outhouse, probably not spring loaded.
Madam Chair,
Oh, go ahead, Vern.
if the doors are spring loaded and those that are, say, in a wheelchair or even a walker, or those that are blind or visually impaired, those could, the spring doors could be still an impediment for entrance.
Thanks for the comment. That's what I'm picturing too. I don't think they would be, but again, I'll find out for sure. Really quick, some of you might have seen entrance decals, some wayfinding signage when you come into our fourth floor reception area now, when you came in today. This wasn't an expensive or really cost prohibitive project in any way, but people come in and they're generally looking for one of three things. This boardroom where we are now, like you guys have seen, they're going to reception or they're going to the building permits department. So this tackles 98% of people who come into our lobby to be able to see where they're going. And then there's signage at each of this, well, at reception and building permits, there's extra signs as well. So just a simple way to make it a little easier to navigate people who come, you know, up the elevator, across the catwalk, and trying to access TNRD services here. Those are the main things that I have going on now. I just wanted to add a few reminders to this as well. We have I put the libraries are cool graphic on the right side there. So that's something we promote every spring and summer with access all of our library branches. We have free Wi-Fi and come and check out, you know, the fantastic library programs and materials that we have while you're in here too. Gets while you can cool off during the hot weather. That's one message we're always pushing. At the top there, I wrote how we have 2 accessible parking stalls underground for people using this building. I don't know if I've actually made this committee fully aware of that before, so I wanted to make sure everybody knew. I have, okay. So he says I have made people aware. Maybe it's been a while then, but thank you. They're the 2 stalls underground that are closest to where you would go up to use the stairs or go up the elevator in the parkade. So if anybody's coming here and needs those stalls for any sort of business reason, just contact us ahead of time and we'll make sure you can get into the parkade. There's also the 2 street level stalls on either end of north or south of Victoria Street there. I believe there was only 1 handicap stall when we first, handicap parking spot outside of this building when we first started meeting, and now there's 2. There's one across the way, kind of kitty corner to where the Delta Hotel is there. Good. In the works, just a couple updates here. Julie talked a little bit about the North Kamloops Library renovation. That started earlier this month. Most of the work is cosmetic and maintenance. One project that we've made sure to include from an accessibility perspective, for any of you who have been into the North Kamloops Library, there's a welcome desk with staff there right when you walk in, and the new desk is going to be height adjustable for meeting patrons where they are from a height level if they're going through materials or any sort of considerations that come with that. So that's one improvement there. There'll be an improved floor plan in the building for the public to use. So there'll be a larger children's area, new teens area. The hours aren't going to be impacted. This is going to be a months-long renovation, but the library will stay open the whole time. If you're using it between now and September, I believe, maybe July or August, it'll just be a bit noisy at different times, depending what's happening. Do I have that right, Julie? I think so. All right. Stamp of approval from Julie. Thank you.
I was in there yesterday and everybody was really friendly. Why do they have security right at the front now? Has that always been there?
We've had a partnership with the Kamloops Community Services officers for some time. Yeah, for the safety of our staff. So, yeah.
There's one at this building too for the same reason. And Birch Island, I don't know if any of you have been to this park. So about halfway between Clearwater and Vavenby, or 10 minutes outside of Clearwater, you take a right off the highway at Birch Island and you drive a couple kilometers down the road and we have Birch Island Community Park, which is a great facility. It's fully fenced. People confuse it for a dog park. So we've had to get some messaging in there because there aren't many fenced parks out that way, I guess, but it's not a dog park. Maybe one day there'll be a dog space in there. But anyway, there's lots there at this park. There's, again, some covered picnic shelters. There's a huge grassy field. There's a sports court with basketball hoops and hockey nets. There's bathrooms there too. And then there's this kind of dinky little playground. So there's a project to update that this year. Basically, they're going to remove the existing playground equipment that's very, very old and put in kind of a more full playground. You can see in the back of that photo, maybe there's just a little play structure. So we're seeking feedback through our community services staff about what people want to see for a design. We had a contractor come back with 3 different renderings and a few different features to consider. So there's a survey available on paper for people in Birch Island that they can grab in the community. I think our staff and community services have mailed it to everybody too, and then it's also available online. And there's grant funding for this project to happen as well. It's amazing. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's wild how expensive it is to put a playground in. So if someone has a survey in their hand in Birch Island, they have a couple photos. I think there's 3 photos in the survey actually, so there's a different angle in there too. But there's option 1. You can see there's still some swings there and quite a much larger playground structure and some play equipment to the side. Option 2, kind of the same, a lot of the same amenities, a lot of different colors. And option 3, there's a bit more off of this main play structure if you look at option 3 for kind of equipment for small kids and stuff like that. This is supposed to be geared for ages 5 to 12. Nothing my 2-year-old couldn't handle, I don't think, but so that's in the early stages now and is going to happen this year, a full playground replacement there.
So I have a question. Did you say this is part of the survey, these pictures? I don't see anything in there that would trigger me to think accessibility.
Mm-hmm.
And most people don't think accessibility if they don't need accessibility. So how much influence will the survey have vis-a-vis making this actually accessible?
Good question. I'd have to check back with our community services staff on how flexible they are from these renderings of designs. Nothing's been ordered yet. So definitely an opportunity to take that in, and I'd have to check with Sherry on what she would do with that. I know she has told me specifically, and I should have mentioned it, Dale. I had it in my notes that I'm not reading, but they are looking at an option for an accessible swing. So between the 3 options, there's a couple different designs for an accessible swing. Again, age geared for children and for security, but I know there's one larger swing that they're considering as well that could be put in there. And again, I think it's geared for kids. So that's one component. And then I'd have to check and see, based on the feedback we get, how that could be incorporated. Hopefully it could.
Okay, I hope you don't just stop at one accessible swing though, because that's just one kid.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Madam Chair?
I've got Chantel first and then you, Vern.
Yeah, my first thought, just as a mother, like, are we committed to the gravel, the little pebbles? Because then I think every parent can say, please no. But then from an accessibility standpoint, I love what we did at Riverside with the kind of cushioning and spongy padding. And I think that universally that should just be what we do from now on.
Yeah, it's a great
That's-
question, Chantel, through the chair. So I brought that up with our community services staff, and I'll let her know that feedback came from here as well, because that was the first thing I thought about. I think I even mentioned when I had this briefly talked about in September about one option for accessibility could be a more like rubber substance, like you say, instead of pea gravel. And when I brought it up with Sherry, I know she was, saying that we might not have money for that with just the cost of it, but I'll let her know that this came up. And so at this point, I think she's looking at pea gravel, or our staff are looking at pea gravel, and we'll have to, I'll bring that feedback back regardless.
Yeah, because if you go with the gravel, cool that we put in a special swing, but if you can't get to that swing, there's no point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just something to consider.
Vern, go ahead.
My question has been brought up with Chantel, but just to maybe bring up other points to it. Certainly safety enters it too. That's my thought on the base or the ground to it as well, Chantel. And those that are, say, visually impaired or blind, their footing could be significantly impacted. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Vern. And I think there's a hand online from Kelly, Dale.
Kelly, I can't even see your hand, so just scream out when you want to talk. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thank you. Thanks, Dale. Thanks, Chair. Colton, I was just curious, there is rubber matting with reflective surface or light colored. So I think that there could be a case for applying through like a climate adaptation grant to help cover the extra cost, a little bit of a two bird, one stone. The black rubber matting gets really hot. I think so from a health perspective, using a cooler material would be great. And if we could apply for some climate funding to cover that extra cost, it seems like a win-win to me.
Thanks, Kelly. That's good. Yeah. And I would just echo all this stuff. And you'll learn this when you have to push a stroller through gravel as well.
Madam Chair.
All right. Go ahead, Vern.
Yes, and you know, the scenario of someone having to use a wheelchair or a power chair with a child moving through gravel or rock bedding could be most difficult. Thanks, Colton. Difficult and much harder to navigate. Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay, keep going.
It's great feedback. Thanks for this, everybody. Moving on. Oh, and I didn't have a photo with this one, but I wanted to let you know, this is something that I'm working on with GIS staff, or will be working on this year, to have a digital inventory of accessibility of our physical spaces. So it would be kind of a mapping application that somebody could find on our website or print off. Different aspects of it is what I'm imagining working on, really, or showing what kind of accessibility features we have at our different facilities. So still working on exactly how that would look, but most likely a printable map. We'd have icons showing what's accessible where, and icons on a digital map, so you could easily kind of hover and scroll and then click on the different facilities and then get a written list there. So we've been talking about this for some time with our mapping staff, and just want to let you know that that's something that we are planning, and I'll definitely have more information when we have our second meeting this year about where that's at. I don't know if it'll be done by then, but it'd be nice if it was. So stay tuned for that.
Go ahead, Jill.
I have a question, Colton. If you're going to do something like that online, it's great, but could we suggest, and probably you're going to do it anyway, that there be a photograph of the facility so that people know that if it's a gravel base or a whatever, because I'd hate to see people drive out somewhere and then find out they couldn't use it.
Yeah, good thought. Absolutely. Yeah, photos would be pretty important to have on there too, so somebody can get a snapshot of how it's going to look when they show up.
Who's got it? Oh, whoever's online. I honestly cannot see hands. I'm sorry. Is it you again, Kelly?
You're muted, Kelly.
Kelly, you're muted.
Thank you, Nan. I just can't see who's in the room, Dale, so I don't want to interrupt. Thanks for calling on me there. I just wanted to let Colton know and the committee know that the city of Kamloops is also doing this work. So if you wanted to connect with Ben Chobater, he's leading that work, and he may have some tips and tricks that they are already doing with their GIS crew.
You just disappeared again, Kelly.
How much of that did you catch?
Most of it. You said Ben Chobater with his crew, and then you went silent.
Sorry. Their GIS crew is already working on this with Ben around what icons and how they're rolling it out. So they might be a little further into the process if you wanted to glean some of that information, so you don't have to start from scratch. Thank you.
That's extremely helpful. Thank you. Theirs will probably be more in depth than ours, I'm picturing, just based on the amount of accessible spaces and just facilities in general that the city has and the different features. But yeah, it would be good if we can have a bit of consistency there. Why not if we're both doing it at the same time? So that's perfect.
Thanks, Kelly. I didn't even know we were doing that. Appreciate it. So Justine, did you have your hand up? Or I'm just hallucinating? Oh, you're pointing at her. Okay, keep doing that for me, please. I literally can't see. Okay, Colton, go ahead.
Just about done. I said 15 minutes, it's been half an hour. I'm so sorry. We've been looking into a grant opportunity, what's called a barrier buster grant. So this is money from RBC and Rick Hansen Fund. I should have front and center on that slide too, Rick Hansen Foundation. So local governments, nonprofits, they can apply across Canada for, there's 40 grants of up to $40,000 available that can 100% fund a project. And again, access improvement projects is what they say is for removing physical barriers for people of all ages is basically what is eligible. So we've been looking at this between our libraries and our park staff who look after community halls and different things too. The deadline to apply is March 15th. And so we've been looking, we don't have anything, it appears right now, that is shelf ready to apply for this grant with the time frame that we have. So we haven't completely ruled it out, but I wanted to let this committee know that this grant's available that we've been looking at. And I also want to see if you had, open it, of course, if anyone had any feedback of what we should be considering when a grant like this comes up, of basically free money for accessibility improvements in our libraries, our parks, our halls. I know we talked a bit about this in September, so whatever you'd like to bring up, floor is open for that too. They had some examples listed of eligible projects, accessible play spaces, parking improvements, accessibility improvements to common facilities and workspaces, which is interesting too, elevators and lifts, accessible washrooms and showers, kitchens, cafeterias, emergency response and safety improvements. That section, for various grants could be more important to the TNRD. Of course, we tend to have our emergency operations active at some point, multiple points every year for different fires or floods that go on. Parks, trails, and marine access, which marine doesn't apply to us really, but everything else might. So just wanted to flash this in case anyone had any thoughts there.
Okay, well, I'll stop you right down, see if anybody has any thoughts there. Go ahead, Chantel.
Guess what I'm going to say. So my big thing has always been accessible change tables for adults because we don't have any in our region. So I did see that in the 2024 BC Building Code that they are now mandatory, which is great. But for places that, you have permits beforehand, there's nothing. So I would love to see that addressed in our region.
Okay, there's one idea. Any other ideas? Anybody online? Okay.
Email
Mike,
me anytime if you have any thoughts.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chantel.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, and I don't need to speak much to this, the Spark BC grant that we've just utilized for the Chase Library book drop, which is 100% funded by this. It's always the catch. We don't have a budget right now for really, the city, for example, has a staff member who is fully funded for accessibility improvements, Ben, who Kelly just mentioned. So we don't have that. So we're always looking at grant opportunities and of course, making sure with our accessibility plans, we're putting an accessibility lens as much as we can on our projects. And yeah, the almighty dollar is always kind of the biggest consideration right now for us. So just wanted to flash a couple grant opportunities there. Yeah, so that was all I had, Dale, if anyone else had any questions.
Any other questions from anyone? Looks like you're free.
All right.
Leave.
Just a
Thank you.
comment, Dale, please.
Yes, please go ahead.
Colton, I want to commend you for all the work and the commitment to changing things up in the region. This is mandated from the government, and lots of municipalities haven't taken it forward to do the good work that you're doing. I know you're a team behind you as well, but I just want to say thank you for the continued work and reporting on what's happening.
Okay, anyone else? Did you want to talk about the downstairs washrooms at all, or do you want to leave that for some other time when it's done?
No, you're right.
I think
Thanks, Chair.
I think that's worth talking about.
I briefed Dale on a few things I wanted to go through on the slides, and something that came up in the last day or so when I had this all done, but I wasn't reading my notes, so I forgot about it. But we did get just wanted to let this committee know, we got I guess, patron complaint or feedback complaint, I guess, a few days ago.
It was a complaint.
Yeah, complaint, right? I don't have to be politically correct. But about our washrooms. And I know it's been talked about at this table before about the accessibility of our accessible bathroom stalls. So the doors swing in. So that was the main concern. So it was great when we were able to get this feedback. Went the patron tagged Dale, and she let our staff know from her beach chair in Mexico. And we have a facilities manager, which we didn't even have until about a year ago. We had a person who was our capital projects and facilities manager run off his feet all day. So now that's split into two, which is great. So we got this feedback, and our facilities manager, who I happen to share an office with, he basically flipped the hinges and problem solved in the short term, which is great. So now it doesn't swing inwards, where if you get in, you can't really get out comfortably. It swings outwards, which is what they're supposed to do. So he's let me know that it was already on his radar apparently for going into those accessible stalls later this year and doing some renovations to redo them and make sure that they're up to kind of our up to our current codes for meeting universal accessibility standards. So he's got a makeshift solution on the stalls by making them swing out now, but the long story short is he'll be doing other improvements later this year to make sure they're actually accessible as today's code says. So we'll be able to say our downstairs accessible bathrooms are actually fully accessible. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Chair.
Yeah, okay. All right. Anything else before we let this part of the agenda go? No? Up there? No? Good. We now move to roundtable. Anybody have anything? Kelly, I'm told you have something for roundtable.
I do, yeah. Colton, how can I best share my screen, or is that possible?
We can give you that ability here. It'll just take us a second, Kelly.
Okay. Well, while we sort of get that up, I wanted to bring forward an opportunity for the group or for consideration by the group. People in Motion has received a grant from Spark BC to do some engagement with equity deserving groups in the community around climate event and emergency preparedness. And the idea is to seek out information from folks that we don't traditionally hear from, or whose voices might be left out of planning around climate event and emergency preparedness, to learn what works and what doesn't work. So Deb DeLizer from People in Motion has this funding to do these engagement with different groups, equity deserving groups, and folks can get paid an honorarium for their time. Providing their feedback. Host organizations can get a $500 honorarium to support room rental, facilitation, disabilities are exactly the folks that we want to hear from in this kind of engagement. So if you as an individual want to participate and want to be interviewed, you can reach out to me or Deb DeLizer. If you are an organization with folks that you think should have their voices heard in this engagement, and you want to participate, you can also reach out to us, and you can do the facilitation, or we can bring, the City of Kamloops has offered to do facilitation and note-taking as well, and even provide a room if you're an organization that does a little bit more of a community approach and need a space and some professionals to help you do the facilitation. We want to make it as easy as possible for people to participate, but I wanted to bring that opportunity to the crew to see if y'all wanted to get involved, if you knew of folks that you could pass the information along to. We do have a facilitator's guide, so you don't have to come up with questions. Like I said, we can add some capacity around room and folks to help. And there is these honorariums available, as well as a little cash for some food and some snackies. So trying to make it as easy as possible for people to get involved, and wanted to extend our reach to make sure we're hearing from as many folks in the community as possible who may have something to contribute to this. If there's any questions, I'd love to take them. If anyone has wants to get in touch, I can provide the info as well. And I don't even know if it's, oh!
Justine's got a question. Go ahead.
Kelly, just wondering, what's the timeline on this? Like, when does it start and when does it end?
Yeah, great question, Justine. Fast, real fast. We're hoping to have the information gathered by the end of February. So there's not too much time. I know, don't make that face. We already have a bunch of groups who are already working on this, but I wanted to wait until this meeting to bring it to the rest of the group. Like I said, Deb can get a package to you really quickly, and we can make it as easy as possible, but obviously recruitment would be up to the folks who are putting their name forward.
Thank you. Hey, Colton, rather than worrying about sharing the screen, why don't we just have her send that information to you and you can send it out?
Yeah, I'm just printing it off right now. I have it on my
Excellent.
computer. Sorry.
Wow.
to shut
Thanks,
the door.
Colton. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Okay.
Kelly.
Anyone else have anything to add to Roundtable? I'll start with you, Cindy, and then go to Justine.
Just an update on the Canada Games pool, and thank you, Chantel, for reaching out and giving me a hand on this. We talked about a pool chair versus a wheelchair lift, and I did talk to the manager at the Canada Games pool, and for now, she put in a pool chair. But what the pool chair means for a person in a wheelchair, it means getting out of your wheelchair onto that chair, into the hot tub, and then back. That's 2 transfers that could be dangerous. Previously, they had a wheelchair that was operated by water pressure. So all my husband did was take me out of the kids' pool, roll me up the ramp, put me into that wheelchair lift, and down I went and up I went. It was great, but they didn't like it because it was really bulky and the lifeguards couldn't see around it. So then they put this fancy one in, according to the manager, that even the Olympics used, and it kept breaking down, and the parts came from pretend Sweden. I can't remember where they came from, and it never was working. I got stuck on it one time, and they had to the lifeguard manually got me up. I said, good for her, Natasha. So I don't quote me, but my understanding is, so the good news is they have a pool chair there that people with walkers can sit on and go down. So there's the good news. Then I understand from the manager, if I'm correctly, they're going to put the wheelchair lift in the budget. So I'm hoping so. Otherwise, I just go to sauna now. So that's the update on that. Then the other thing I was going to ask the group is I want to be an advocate for the cost of medical aids. For example, in 2013, this cost $26,000. A brand new one right now that I'm ordering is $46,000 for a wheelchair. And luckily, my husband worked for the city of Kamloops for 36 years, and we pay $200 a month for medical and dental. So I get 70% of the wheelchair paid for. But think of the people that don't have that. They have to pay for that somehow, or they have, this creates independency because this chair even rolls up into a van, locks into the passenger seat, and I put my seatbelt on. So it's not, so my husband who has a bad back and bad neck doesn't have to help me. So it's all about independence. So I guess I'm looking for a way of how do we help other people? And then another example is a chairlift. It's considered a modification of home to go down the stairs, so there's no coverage. So all these people that have the needs and that don't have the money, what do they do? So I don't know where to start.
Got all that, Colton? Okay. All right, we'll look forward to hearing that. Justine, will you also have something?
Yeah, sorry, I have 3 somethings. So first of all, an Amazing Race to Inclusion is happening again this year, 6th annual race, May 29th. I have a few sheets. I was running out of ink on the printer. And there's a QR code that you can scan, get more information. Registration opens March the 1st. And we are hoping to have spaces throughout the community. Hopefully the library, I've sent an email on that. Yeah, so having a TNRD team would be wonderful. Another thing that we're working on through Kamloops Society for Community Inclusion and the Speak Up Self-Advocacy Awareness Society is to bring A Place Where I Belong, which is a documentary about individuals with diverse abilities and who are exploring gender and safe spaces for people. That's happening on March the 19th. It will be at the Kia Lounge. So I have some posters about that. And then the final thing, just following up, Colton and I were having an email conversation about something that was mentioned at the last meeting, just in regard to tracking the success of projects within the community. So Colton, I don't know if you want to just address that?
Sure. Yeah, thanks through the chair and thanks, Justine. So yeah, Justine had a really good question about how can we make sure we're tracking what's in the accessibility plan about like done, not done, for deficiencies or what have you, right? So our accessibility plan has 37 recommendations that were in there. So one thing that I thought, if it works for this committee, is because the plan is to update this accessibility plan, it's a living document. So I think what I would do is prepare a report and an update to the plan for September with a section that shows with maybe icons or red, yellow, green for in progress, completed or not yet started. So I could have kind of a graph, like a visual document that is part of the plan and a report to explain it. Kind of showing what's been done out of the recommendations that are in the plan. And then also it would be more of a formal way to document all of the information that I've given, like when I do these presentations to update on projects that just align with accessibility. Like I talk about the improvements for Smith Pioneer Park. That's not in our plan, but it aligns with our accessibility goals. So it could kind of be a two-part document to explain here's where we're at with items in the plan and have comments on why or why not, and then also just give updates on what's in progress or completed that align with the plan. So that was where that went. I had that breakthrough thought and made sure I let Justine know.
Go ahead, Jill.
My question is for Colton, because this is what somebody asked me the other day and I almost forgot about it. When we finally get our website with all of our accessibility and all of the information, can we create a list up there that would have who to contact for People in Motion, who to contact for the White Cane Club, that kind of thing? Because when you have accessibility problems, you're not necessarily able to go hunting all this up, but if we're already doing accessibility, it would be perfect.
That's a really good idea as well. Okay,
Yep.
anyone else have anything they want to raise? Kelly and Nan? No, we're good. Vern?
Yes, sorry, Colton, to go back to your first slide with the update renovations to the Chase Library. I was noticing that it would be extremely helpful if 1/3 of the handrail was in yellow. I know you have the, I can notice that there's yellow on the steps, but I've also been encouraging the city and the district for their handrails to be 1/3 of the rail to be yellow. Is that feasible?
Vern, it's Julie. I can take that back to the manager and the facilities manager who are working on it. There's a little bit more they're doing to make that more accessible aside from just the book drop. So I'll check in with them on that.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Go ahead.
Dale,
I
it's
just have
Kelly again.
one more.
Oh,
Hey,
sorry.
You, nope,
You.
I'll get to you, don't worry.
I remember in our September meeting, we had briefly talked about the accessible spaces at the library, and I was wondering if any changes there had happened.
Which library?
I realized that as I turned my microphone off. The North Kamloops. Yeah.
I'll have to take that away because I actually don't know the answer. And with the renovation going on, I'm not sure if it's contextualized. Do you have the background of that one or no? Yeah.
It was brought up that there's only the 2 designated spots.
Oh,
Yes,
for parking. Okay.
Yes. So it was mentioned there were a few spots available for quick drop-offs, but only 2 for accessibility.
Okay. So there's only 2. Okay.
Yeah, there was more, but there was no aisleway provided between the larger van space and then the normal accessible space. So there just wasn't enough room.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take that back for you. Yeah.
Kelly?
Thank you. Sorry, this is such a silly process for me to hear virtually. I appreciate the effort. I guess I wanted to share one more thing with the group that's happening at the City of Kamloops Age Friendly Committee. And it speaks a little bit, Jill, to your point around knowing who to contact. A group on the Age Friendly Committee in Kamloops is putting together a document that talks about sort of how to get the most out of your doctor's appointments. Now, I know that sounds irrelevant here, but on that document is, hey, if you need to be able to get places around town, here are the agencies to contact. If you have disabilities and need some support around certain things, these are the people to contact. So I'd love to bring that forward or share that with Colton for distribution when that document is done, because I think that might help. Although the document is not intended to be who to call, when to call, it is more centered around healthcare needs. It still does have all that information listed that could be distributed, and it is an Interior Community Services document, and they're happy to have it shared broadly and widely. So happy to bring that back when it's done, and maybe that helps to meet the need about who is available in the community to help folks that have some accessibility and mobility needs.
That is such a super idea. I think back to when we moved here with our son who has autism, and I didn't even know how to say Kamloops, let alone know where to start looking for help for him. So that's a great idea. Anybody else have anything left to say? I will go to Cindy, then Vern.
Just adding to the conversation is when I spoke to the manager at Canada Gainesville, I said, when you look at new equipment, take someone that's in a wheelchair and let them help you analyze it instead of just code.
Vern, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I recently experienced in taking a friend out to Valley View, Handy Dart uses a third party called Meridian for eligibility to be able to ride Handy Dart in Valley View, and it's called Meridian. And also, if an individual needs to be assessed, there is a Dr. Lesh in Brocklehurst that helps with physical and disability assessment. However, he charges the individual $60 for his services. So because I realized not everybody has access to a GP. Thank you.
Thanks, Vern. Anyone else? Okie dokie, we are adjourned. Thank you.